Just throw it right there where it lands right in place like this. Airbags are easy, man. You just gotta throw some shit at some shit. What's up? This is Casey from Casey's Customs. In this series, I am building a bagged hot rod for under $3,500. In this video, we finish up the rear airbags. We also get the body mounted on the newer chassis, and we go over the budget. Let's get going. So we are back on the 1951 Chevy $3,500 hot rod build. My goal for this episode is to get the body mounted. If you watched the last episode, I kind of got it thrown up there, but nothing really lined up very well. I'm hitting a bunch of stuff. Now granted, my wheels are entirely too big, but I still want to make clearance for them so I can basically run whatever wheel I want. The wheels I should be running are probably 2 to 3 inches smaller than those, but I still want to just go ahead and make the clearance for everything while I'm cutting stuff out. Another problem I ran into was the front of the cowl is hitting the dash. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this top dash pad off. I mean, the foam on this thing is like 2 or 3 inches thick, and I'm not going to be using any of it anyway. So I'm going to try and get some of that off there and see how that'll help us sit down. I think it'll work, but I don't know. But what I'm going to do first is cut out all the spots that are rubbing on the actual 51 body. Then we'll come in here and start messing with that and hopefully throw it on there and get it close enough to where we can maybe start making some mounts and get it on there permanently. But we'll see what happens.
Two hours later.
The 51 is as cut as it needs to be. I can't really cut anything else. So wherever everything lands at this point, we're gonna have to just work with where it's at. I have cut my dash cut out as much as I can without getting into structure. Got my wheel wells cut out to accept a larger wheel. And you can see clearance now, that's actually my outside quarter panel. So can't go any more than that without raising your quarter panels or getting crazy. So that's what it is. We should be good. Like I said, these tires aren't exactly what I'm gonna be running. They're way too tall, but I still wanna go ahead and make clearance for it while I have it, just in case down the line somebody wants to run a big, 22 or something crazy. Looking good, she's cut out. Some of this was structure, but it was rusty at the bottom anyway. I would have wanted to cut it to redo it. What we'll do whenever we get the frame in here, this will all be tied in to the frame of the car, either by a body mount or just welding it straight to it. I don't know. Sometimes I make these where you can't take them off just because it's easier. But now that we're done with that, we can start whittling away at this. I want to get the dash off, and I'll get this foam off the top and see what I'm looking at. I haven't taken one of these dashes apart in a long time, so I don't exactly remember how far this goes down and stuff. When it sits on the car, it looks like it's about right in here somewhere. So what I would like to do in a perfect world is get all this shit off here, maybe leave the stock speedo and the stock, AC stuff, and then graft the, where's it at? Uh-oh. There it is. I'd like to maybe graft the original dash back over the top of it. It's not always possible, but I'd like to try, especially since this needs to come off anyway to get the body down a little bit. If it's already going to be off, we might be able to graft some of the original one back on. I don't know. We're going to start taking this off and see what we can get into. There's a lot of wires and shit under here I do not want to cut. So I'm going to try and actually do the right thing and take it apart the way it should be. We'll see how long that lasts though. Well, that's a little excessive. Probably didn't need to do all that. Let's throw the body back on and maybe see if we can't kind of figure out how the front end's gonna go on this damn thing. Got it pretty close about where it's gonna sit. Still gotta kind of shimmy it a little bit. But I do want to throw a fender up here. I've taken a couple rough measurements and I think I'm okay. My biggest problem is a 51 Chevy comes in Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. Actually got one over here. I got a video coming out on this 50 pretty soon. It's not necessarily the best example. The 52 might work too. So, as you can see, these actually have a taper to them. Not only in the fender, but actually the body does a little bit too, but in the fender a bunch. So, with the S10 just coming straight out, all the bullshit's going to be up here. So what you end up having to do is trim your radiator support. Just trim all that as much as you can so you can get a fender on. Usually we have to relocate the batteries. See, this one's a 50 Chevy, which is basically the same front end. I mean, I've cut the shit out of this one's customized, but see how much that damn fender goes in? We'll see. I'm going to throw it up there just to see where it's at in relation to the wheelbase. And then we'll kind of start figuring out what we got to do. I'd like to get the body where I want it, and then throw a brace in it somewhere so it can kind of sit there on its own and I don't have to have it piggybacked on the hoist. But as you can see, this is what I'm worried about. Usually when I do these, this is the definition of 10 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag, because everything gets in the way. Usually got to whittle these down to here and all that fun stuff, but let's see how bad it looks first. So as you can see, I mean, it just fits absolutely perfectly. I mean, fucking mint with the door gap. I kind of wanted to throw it up there to see where my wheelbase was. It seems pretty close. The cool thing about these, you have a ton of real estate, you know, to move these fenders if you have to. I mean, the actual wheel lip, the arch, you can move it. We just want to get our back where we want it. And then if I get this on there and it's off, you know, an inch or two, we'll just move her back if we have to. But we'll see. The main reason I threw this up here was for this. As you can see, we're catching there. It's not letting it bolt up. My cowl is too low. So we need to trim this. This probably as well. And then that won't let that sit down. So we might get lucky and be able to keep our battery there, but this core support definitely has to go out of the way. What I'll do now is find a marker, get it marked, and then what we can do is we'll take measurements of these marks. Probably right there somewhere. Probably right there somewhere. I might just be able to hit that with a hammer. I don't know. Yeah, it should be fine. And then what we'll do, take this off. You want to gently place this on the ground. There you go. Very gently. Now what we're going to do is I'll take this measurement, cut, whatever you want to call it, and we'll do the same thing over here. And something like that. I mean, obviously I'll mark it the right way, but probably something along those lines. Fuck that marker.
One long, angry line later.
All right, let's cut that shit. See, we can't get the fender on there a little bit better. This is always really fun because there's a lot of important stuff here. The cool thing is your main mounts are here. You can always tell by, you know, where the frame is, basically. They're always just right above the frame. So we can get rid of all this. There's a lot of important wires and stuff there, so you can't get too cute with it. You gotta kind of take it easy. We got our cuts, sitting a lot better. Still not perfect, and my wheelbase isn't the best right now. I think I'm still too far back up here. Yeah, a little bit too far back. But like I said, if I end up getting everything where it needs to be, and for some reason that isn't centered where I want it, I can always move the wheel up a little bit if I need to. I mean, I'm talking might be an inch or two. Here's a problem we run into. This is pretty common on these. When I do them anyway, because I always try and make them so low. We are running into a couple different things. One, the radiator support and all that is at the very, very front. I mean, as far forward as it right now, you couldn't even get a grill on it. There's a couple ways to do this. One is to raise it up. If you raise it up, you solve a lot of your problems. I don't want to do that. I want it low as possible, even if that means getting kind of funky. So the way I like to do it is cut right here and add, I don't know, 2 to 3 inches. When I used to do them 15 years ago, or 10 years ago rather, when I built that one, I'd stretch them like 6 or 8 inches. So they were really out there. It doesn't really need all that. It looks cool when you make small adjustments to elongate things. When you go overboard with it, it's just sometimes it's a little overkill. So I don't want to do that with this one, but I think that's probably going to be my best bet. Cut right there, pull this back. This still needs to do some trimming to make it a little lower. I think I can still get away with running my battery right there, which is nice. So I don't hate where it's at, but we're definitely gonna have to do some front end work basically. Well, we're gonna have to do some sheet metal work on the front end, let's put it that way. Looks good though, I really like where it's at. I was gonna go ahead and start making my mounts for the body, but since I know where everything is, it's not gonna be super hard to put everything back where it's at. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it so I can finish welding all of this rear airbag system up. I could technically do it where it's at, but boy, it'd be a lot easier if that body wasn't in the way. So I think I'll probably pull the body off one last time, weld the living shit out of everything, trim it, do whatever I need to do, because really the axle needs to come out so I can just weld the shit out of it. And I don't really want to do all that with the body on, so I'm so happy with how it looks. I almost don't want to touch it, but there's no way I'm going to be crawling around in the back of that trying to weld that shit. So also, whenever I'm done with the welding, I want to go ahead and put the gas tank back in. I don't want to try to do that with the body on. I think I'm going to take a break for the rest of today. Tomorrow, I'll probably pull the body off, get it inside, weld the living shit out of it.
The next day.
Okay, we got her back in here, got the body back over there. It is time to do a ton of welding. What I want to do, I got to take my links off because they have plastic bushings, and the bushings will melt. You know, even if you're welding, I don't know, 5 inches away, it can get hot enough to mess with that rubber bushing, plastic bushing, whatever it is. So I'm going to take out all the 4 links, probably take out the bags. I should be okay leaving the bags, but I'll probably take the bags out too. And then this rear end will just be free. We'll weld the living shit out of it, weld the living shit out of the frame, grind it all, and then we'll put the gas tank back in and the frame will be done, which would be nice. And maybe if we have time, we'll try and throw the body on and throw a brace on. I don't know if I'm gonna have time. Like every one of these damn videos lately, I got way too many hours in it, but let's see what happens. This is probably a good, I'd say 6 or 8 hours of welding. I mean, we gotta just weld everything. We also need to trim the bottoms of the C channels because they're too low. These are like a cut to fit kind. And also I left it outside one night, so now it's all rusty, so we get to grind all that so we have clean metal to weld. Cue the welding montage. Everything is welded. We ended up having 4 full hours in welding and grinding, and I didn't even grind it smooth. I just hit the welds off the top because they're kind of sharp in some spots. So everything is solid. It is still super hot. I don't like to leave the shop right after I weld. I usually wait 20 or 30 minutes just in case there's something sparked or whatever. Also, this frame been 15-20 minutes, but I mean it's still hot all the way over here because we did a ton of welding. It is currently 11:45. I think I started at 8 o'clock. So yeah, what we're gonna do, while we're gonna let all this shit air out and cool down, I'm gonna go ahead and paint the 4 links, and I'll probably go ahead and paint just the spots I welded, any bare metals. This sat outside for like just a couple hours one day, and it did all that. Just some of it was from dew, some of it was actually a light rain, but it was covered, and it's still just bare metal in this humidity, rust almost instantly. So we're gonna scuff these down real good and shoot black paint over them. And I would do the whole frame, but I don't know what I might need to add, weld, whatever, because we still have to mount the body. So I'm just gonna probably just hit some spots that are bare metal and call it good for now. Let's do all that, and then I'm going to bed. It is fucking Wednesday. It's not a weekend. I gotta get up at 7, take the boy to school. Just throw it right there where it lands, right in place like this. Airbags are easy, man. You just gotta throw some shit at some shit. Check it out. It's actually sitting on the frame. It's crooked, and none of the mounts are done. They're just kind of sitting there. So I actually had it measured out perfect, And then when I went to move the hoist, I ran it into it. So it fell off, so I had to kind of throw it back up there. But I'm okay with that. Everything I can do in the shop to level it, you know, I'll put a jack underneath one side and we'll square it up in the shop. But I'm super happy it's actually on its chassis. When I do the mounts, it'll be a little bit lower in the back. And then when we air them down, it should get this bumper to the ground. If not to the ground, really, really close. But man, it looks good. I'm really happy. We're definitely going to have to move our front fenders back about 2 inches, it looks like. I don't know how that got wonky, considering my wheel is centered in the rear. It should be here, but that's fine. No big deal. It's just sheet metal. And I also think we will probably end up cutting right here and lengthening, probably 2 to 3 inches to clear some of that shit. But we're going to do that on the next episode. I am super happy to actually have it on its own chassis. Looking good too. This is going to be a bitchin' car, man. I'm excited. Just needs a little, you know, just a little, you know. On these, it's not even a whack, it's a whack. Bring the whole thing down. I think. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but you really can't mess up that rear window because that slope is bitchin'. Super happy, man. Thing looks awesome. Thanks for watching. I almost forgot to update the budget, but we're adding it right now. Here's where we're at. A lot of airbag parts were bought. Spent a ton of money. Total spent so far, $2,084. This is what I've sold. The Blazer parts, the fastback frame and motor, and then just basically a little bit of scrap since I've sold those. I still have a lot of parts for that I can sell, especially if I start getting into the hole. I have a bunch of spare stuff for this 51 I can sell if I need to. But overall, our total is $1,717.32. Not bad. I don't hate it. It's about half of the budget. We got $3,500. There's still so much that needs bought and done. Also, when we did the last one, you know, glass ended up really biting me in the ass, and I know it's gonna be a problem on this one too, because none of that's cheap, the rubber and everything. So I like where we're at, but we're certainly not in the clear. Especially when, you know, I just bought rockers. Rockers were $100, but I think I'm gonna end up needing a bunch of metal and a bunch of square tubing and stuff, and that stuff, especially right now in 2021, metal is not cheap. So we'll see how we do. The good news is I got nice bumpers and I got a nice grill. I shouldn't have to find any parts. This pretty much came with everything I needed, so that's great. Because the only thing more expensive than new metal is vintage metal. So luckily I don't have to do that. But we're certainly not, you know, out of the loop by any means. We could definitely still we could easily spend another $1,700 and ruin the budget. But we'll see. I don't hate where we're at. But figured it out, everybody. $1,717 as of September 2nd. Thanks for watching. Peace. Thank you guys very much for watching. I am super happy to finally get the body on top of the chassis. It's not really on there very well. I don't have any mounts made. It's kind of just sitting on there crooked, but I don't have to have the hoist, you know, kind of juggling the body up in the air. It's actually in here. I can work on it in the shop. On the next video, we're going to start making some mounts for the body, making sure everything is level and square, and then we're going to start on the front end. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff they tell you at the end of videos. Check out some more of my other videos. Peace!
I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie.